Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to talk to you guys today about my previous all or nothing attitude and why it wasn't beneficial to me getting to reaching my health goals and being able to be successful losing weight, but also keeping it off and having a healthy mindset and a healthy outlook towards food and the way I see myself and my relationship with food and how I use food. I'll tell you how I was before, and I'll tell you how I've learned to be different now. So the way that I was before was, so I would really be able to have the motivation and the, willpower. I think that's the word. That's a better word. I would have the willpower, to be able to not eat anything unhealthy and to really stick to my goals. But the problem came with like a few months into the program, or it could be a year into my program, like into my routine, that I would, sorry for the lighting, I'm in a place where, it's not so great, so I'm using my car. So I would be doing really well, and then I would get to a point where I was either bored or tired of routine, and and also another thing that added to it, besides being bored and tired of routine, because we can all get bored and tired of routine no matter what we do, but it also, a huge factor was also me being so restrictive on myself with like what I eat, and to the point where it was unhealthy. It wasn't like a healthy restriction. It was like pretty much very unhealthy. Sorry, I'm like so distracted. It was a very unhealthy way of restricting what I was eating, to the point where I was counting calories for things like, I'm not kidding you, things like Tic Tacs and gum, and I was sometimes just not eating enough at all. And this was in the beginning when I had started to lose weight, as when I was in high school, and I didn't really understand proper nutrition. I've learned over the years proper nutrition, but one part of the thing that I learned very much the hard way, or it took me so long to learn through trial and error and messing up and doing it all over again, was that the all or nothing mentality does not work. And what I mean by that is, when you have an all or nothing mentality when it comes to your health and weight, fitness and weight loss and all of that, you don't allow yourself any room for error. You don't allow yourself, and the word error is even wrong to use, because you don't give yourself the permission to do what you want, to eat what you want, or to give in to a craving once in a while, to just live and to be, and to not, have this lifestyle where it's so restrictive where you burn out. So that's what happened to me time and time again. I was extremely restrictive, although I was losing weight and I was healthier in a sense by being lower in weight. I was unhealthy in my mind because I was no longer living, in a healthy way. I was kind of existing. Even though I was lower in weight, I was still existing. I was counting every single calorie and every single crumb that went into my mouth, and my quality of life kind of went down, in the sense of all I could focus on was the number on the scale, and all I could focus on was, I can't eat that, or this is that, or whatever. And I got so obsessive with calories and just not eating enough. So it got to the point where I was extremely restrictive, not eating enough, and then eventually your body kind of cries out, like really needs calories. And I'm not saying you need to go crazy and go on a fast food binge or eat everything under the sun, but you do need to give your body enough fuel so that you aren't burning out. And I wasn't doing that. I was doing it in an unhealthy way because I was no longer listening to the healthy cues that my body was giving me to eat. And I kind of just wanted to be skinny, and I wanted to just be a certain weight, or I had this ideal in my mind of what I wanted to be. And to tell you, when I had reached a very good weight, a normal weight where I was healthy, I was still messed up in my mind, and I still had this, I would still see a fat girl in the mirror, and I couldn't get past like the whole image and kind of like things that I used to say to myself, or the way that I looked at myself. All I saw when I stared back in the mirror was someone that was fat. I never allowed myself to see who I am. And we're all more than what we look like on the outside. And we're also more than what we weigh on the scale. We're more than how we look. We're more than our hair. We're more than anything, any part of our physical body. We're more than that. We're spiritual beings. We have souls, we have hearts, we have wishes, desires, and we're so much more than our outer shell. And all I started focusing on was my outer shell. I was no longer developing who I am as a person. I was no longer working on myself and my confidence and how I viewed myself. And my self-confidence was so low, even though on the outside I looked so much better than I did when I was a chubby kid. So losing weight and being healthy really does include a healthy mindset and a healthy way of thinking about yourself and thinking about food and your relationship with food. And really, your relationship with food is your relationship with everything as far as, you know, health and fitness goes. Because on the same note, I'm talking about like eating, you know, being too restrictive when it comes to your food. If you're too obsessive or you overdo it with exercise, you can burn out too. And I've done that too. I've done it where I've exercised so much when I was, you know, first losing weight as a teenager in high school. I had no idea. I didn't know basically what limits meant, and I would just go and just work out forever. And I would work out for hours on end, and then I would also not eat enough. So the two of those combined into something not good. So I went from doing that to then completely going off the deep end and eating everything under the sun. And then at that point I couldn't stop because I started gaining weight. And then of course my self-confidence, or the way I looked at myself, was only based on the number on the scale, and was only based on how I looked on the outside. So I no longer felt like I was valuable. I no longer felt like I was, you know, I didn't have hope basically. And so I just kind of gave up in my mind about losing weight, because I think the thing I was looking for was happiness. And what I didn't realize was the happiness didn't come from the number on the scale. It didn't come from wearing a smaller size. It still didn't come from any of those things. So I've realized now in later in life that happiness really comes from within. And you hear it all the time, and you hear all these things about happiness comes from within, and it's, you know, all this stuff that really sounds like BS, but it's actually true. So when you go inside and you start working on who you are as a person and developing who you are and growing into someone that respects yourself, like someone that respects yourself, someone who sees, you have to see value in who you are. You have to see value in everything that you are, everything that you've ever done, and who you are as a person has nothing to do with what you look like on the outside and what foods you eat or how much exercise you do. It's about being kind and being, you know, just genuinely good. And I really believe in being that. And the kindness and the happiness and all those things, like, it starts with you. So if you're kind to yourself, and I started being kind to myself, I started loving myself, and I started being happy right now, in my body right now. I am not at an ideal weight. I am not at a normal weight range according to a BMI chart or a doctor's office. A doctor's office would still label me as not in a healthy weight range and all of those things. But I started realizing that these things and these numbers don't define who I am. They don't define anything about me. So after stripping away all those expectations of weight and numbers and all those things and food and being obsessed with like calories and all that stuff, after I got rid of that and I eliminated that, I started to see what was left. And what was left was me and the way that I looked at myself and the way that I thought about myself. And I knew that needed work. I knew that I needed to have a different mentality than the all or nothing mentality that I had. Including the all or nothing mentality that I had, I also always had very extreme, I should say, I had always had very unrealistic expectations of myself, and nothing that I ever did was good enough for myself. So if a friend of mine came to me and told me they lost anything like 10 pounds or 20 pounds, I would be celebrating. I would be encouraging them. If they ever felt like giving up, I would be talking them out of giving up. I would be encouraging them on, you know, how much they've achieved and how, you know, how amazing they are and all those things, or any accomplishment or anything that my friends or family have ever done. I'm always like the voice of encouragement and support for them. But when it came to any accomplishment of my own, whether that's weight loss or fitness goals or anything, I could never celebrate myself. So it was a problem. I realized that no matter what I did, I still expected more of myself, and nothing I ever did was good enough for me. So, and that was coming from me. It wasn't coming from an outside source. It wasn't coming from anywhere. It was coming from, I don't know, expecting something that's not realistic. And you know, to be honest, I've lost so much weight in my life. I wish that I had a real count for you of how many times or how many pounds of weight, you know, how many pounds I've lost and gained in my life. I'd probably lost more than my body weight ever, even now, total. And because every time I lost weight, I would gain it, and it kind of turned into this vicious cycle that I felt that that's just how it's going to be every single time. Now, one thing that I did differently this time is I eliminated the all or nothing attitude. So I removed this idea that I had in my mind that if you quote unquote, hold on, sorry. If you quote unquote, sorry, one second. If you quote unquote, mess up or whatever, that you're not worth anything, or you're not worthy of whatever. Like basically all my value in myself was put on the number of a number on the scale and what I was eating. So if I ate something bad one day, or I hate to say bad or good because that's really not a great way to think about food anyway, but if I ate something that wasn't in my meal plan or that didn't line up with my nutritional goals, I automatically felt like a failure. And then instead of, you know, just moving on from giving into a craving, let's say, and wanting something that I don't normally eat and eating it and thinking of it in a normal, healthy way of, okay, I ate that, it's fine. I'm perfectly fine. I have balance in my life, and I'm working out and I'm eating properly, and I had a craving and I ate it. I ate whatever it was that I was wanting, and moving on, I would take that one mess up and I would turn it into a full day of mess ups. Like basically saying to myself, oh, well, I screwed up by eating this, so I might as well just continue on today. And then if you eat a full day of things that you're not supposed to eat, the feelings of, you know, the feelings that you're like having of, you know, you're not supposed to do this, or like kind of like those guilty feelings that you have when it comes to like eating something you're not supposed to, or eating something that's really calorie dense and you know it's kind of maybe going to set you back if you keep eating it, or going to cause you to gain weight. So instead of kind of just taking it for what it is, like eating that one thing and moving on, I would turn it into a full day of just eating all the wrong foods because I felt like, okay, screw it, I messed up. And then that one day caused me to have bad thoughts and bad feelings about what I was doing. And then one day turned into two days turned into 3 of bad eating, 4, 5 a week. Next thing I know, I'm up 10 pounds or whatever, not from a week, but let's say I continued messing up for a month. I wasn't getting it together. I wasn't understanding that just because I had one meal that was off of my plan doesn't mean that my plan is over, doesn't mean that my weight loss goals are done or my fitness goals are erased. I do understand the concept, and you should understand the concept that what you eat greatly affects your weight and greatly affects how you get to your fitness goals and how soon you get to your fitness goals, because nutrition is a major component of being healthy, weight loss, and all those other things. But what you also have to understand that, and what I started to understand later in life, is that although it's important, weight loss is important, and weight loss is important for health and well-being, and a proper nutrition is extremely important. There's also room for freedoms of wanting to go, let's say, go out and eat something, or go to a restaurant and be out with friends, or eat something that's not on your normal plan. This is a part of life, and it's also a part of life to miss a workout, or to someone's backing up. It's also a part of life to miss a workout and to be totally okay. That's the thing that I never really could grasp, is being totally okay with things not being exactly how I wanted them to be. And I was striving for this illusion of perfection. And that's why the combination of striving for perfection in my mind and having an all or nothing attitude led to an all or nothing attitude and viewpoint of myself and my goals and everything, led to always feeling disappointed and always feeling like a failure, because who can be perfect 100% of the time, and who can never eat another, I don't know, piece of chocolate again, or whatever it is that you like? Who can say they'll never have that again? If you're able to have it and fit it into your plan and still be on track, you can do those things. You can eat those things. You can miss a workout and still be on track. You can. And I'm not saying that this should be an occurrence every single day or every single week. I don't do those things, but I do live in a way now where if I did want something, or if I did have a craving, I would have that food. I would have that, whatever it is, or I would skip a workout to go to an event with someone, or to go and do something different that's not in my normal routine, because I'm living my life. So that's like the main thing I want to tell you. When you're actually living your life, and when you establish a proper, healthy relationship within yourself, and your view of yourself becomes something that's healthy and manageable and doable, you start living your life to the fullest, and you start focusing less on weight and numbers, and you just start focusing on health and well-being and a healthy mindset. So a healthy mindset, healthy nutrition, and a healthy fitness routine, I think all go hand in hand with ultimately achieving your goals and making them turning those fitness goals and those nutrition goals into long-term sustainable achievements, because everything you did while you were getting there was something that you can do forever. So the way that I'm losing weight now is something that I know that I can maintain forever. I am not miserable. I am not overly restrictive where I don't feel like I'm living, or I always feel like I'm on a diet. I don't think I'm on a diet. I'm not on a diet. All I'm doing is eating better and eating within what I feel is the proper way to fuel myself nutritionally in order to get to my goals, and in order to be at my optimal health for myself and my life. So that's how I changed my mindset. And honestly, it takes a lot of inner work. It takes a lot of being truthful with yourself and being honest about who you are and what your weaknesses are and what you may need to strengthen. Sometimes therapy helps. If you really talking helps. Like, nothing's wrong with getting help. And if you have great friends and a support system, it's even easier to get to your goals because you're having people in your corner and in your circle that are supporting what you're doing. And any journey and any weight loss, if anyone's ever been on a weight loss journey or have goals or any kind of goals in life or anything that you're looking to achieve, you know that a proper support system and a healthy, positive support system is really important for those days that just get really hard. And we all have hard days and we all have difficulties, but having that support system really helps. So if you don't have friends or family nearby, get a support system there's so many groups online, like people that are, you know, within have the same goals as you, and you can start making friends that way. I really, really believe in therapy. I think that it can be amazing for people. You find the right therapist, you have whatever you need to talk about, you talk about it, and you kind of live your life and you keep going towards your goals, because really once you start working on yourself and you understand who you are and you have this level of self-awareness that is unmatched to what you've ever had before, you become unstoppable, and no difficulties really bring you down, because you understand that difficulties and bad days and, you know, little bumps in the road become a part of your journey, but they don't destroy your journey. That is the biggest lesson I've ever learned in this process of trial and error, which I'm so grateful for, the process of trial and error and failures and getting back up every time, because I wouldn't have as much experience and knowledge if I never messed up or if I never had a setback. All my setbacks really helped me in learning more and digging deeper to finding out what it is that I need to work on to not make the same mistake again. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.